On slide number 5, which is challenge number 3 here, we can see that now we're going to be dealing with that a value out in front. All right, we're not going to be dealing with any sort of a translation here because it says the 5 parabolas each should pass through the origin. So I know the vertex of each parabola is going to be 0, 0. So if I look at this blue parabola, if I just trace what this parabola might look like, it's going to go through this blue point, it's going to go through the origin, and then it's going to go through this blue point over here. Right? So I can kind of trace that parabola. I can also see that if I put in y equals x squared, if I just put in y equals x squared and hit check my work, I need the parabola to be a lot wider than that. All right. So now I got to play around with this. I know that I'm going to need a positive number because it's concave up, it's facing upward, and I know it has to be some sort of a fraction. So I think a good place to start would be simply just try 1/2 and see if 1/2 works. And I can see that it's got to be wider than 1/2. All right, so I'm going to need a fraction that's a little bit smaller than 1/2. Let's try 1/3 and see if that works. I need larger than 1/3. So I'm going to skip right down to 1/5. Let's see if 1/5 works. And I can see that 1/5 passes through this perfectly. Now for the green parabola here, again, let's trace it. It's going to go through this green point, it's going to go through the origin, and then it's going to go through this green point here. So I know that it's going to be negative because the parabola is going to be facing down. So let's just start with y equals x squared. If I try y equals x squared, well, I need negative x squared. I just said it was going to be negative. So let's try negative x squared and see what happens. I see that negative x squared fits this parabola perfectly. So that's good. That makes sense because if I go over 2 units, I'm going to go down 4 units. And I know 2 squared is going to be 4. So for the orange parabola, it needs to be skinnier than the green parabola. So let's just try negative 2x squared and see what happens. By putting a negative 2 out in front of it, the parabola is going to open down and it's going to be thinner than the green parabola. So negative 2 works. For the purple parabola, I need something smaller than negative 1, or let's just say between 0 and 1, but it has to be negative. So let's start with negative 1/2 x squared. And then we can make some adjustments from there. It needs to be wider than negative 1/2 x squared. So let's try negative 1/4 x squared and see if that works. It needs to be wider than negative 1/4, so I'm going to try negative 1/5. Still needs to be wider than negative 1/5, so let's try negative 1/6, and I think this one's going to work out perfectly. And there it is. Works out great.